Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the June event of the BCS Nottingham and Derby branch. Tonight we've got Nick Mellors and Ceren Clulow presenting us on the 5G connected forest. But just before we go on, I just want to advertise our next event, which is going to be scheduled on the 20th of June 2020. Again, another webinar. And it's titled COVID-19 Lessons Learned from an Aggressive Cloud Migration Strategy by Andy Edwards. And I've put the URL in the chat, sorry, on the slide, and I will put it into the chat once Nick starts to speak. So I'm just going to pass you over to Nick and Ceren, and I'll let them introduce themselves. So Nick, I'll just make you the presenter.
Can everybody hear me?
Yes, I hear you.
So we should be about to go.
Presenter.
I have just pressed share my screen. So when the cogs continue to run, we should finish up with the right thing.
Yep, I can see your screen, Nick, so please proceed.
Perfect.
Oh, it's disappeared.
Disappeared.
Is it? It was on there.
That's it.
Okay, so we've got a tree, have we?
Yep, got a tree.
Brilliant. Good evening, everybody. Welcome to an introduction to the 5G connected forest. There's myself and the programme lead for Nottingham County Council, Ceren Clulow, on this. That's our agenda. We'll do some background on it, some explanation of the scope of the project, the key research areas that we're going to look at, and then we'll finish with some work that we're hoping to achieve around business inspiration and skills and education. And then there will be time for questions and answers at the end. So okay. I'll start. My name's Nick Mellors. I'm director of a local company called ISPB. We provide commercial consultancy support. And within this project, I'm the skills and collaboration lead. I'll now hand over to Ceren, who will take us through the first part of the presentation.
Good evening, everybody. It's Ceren Clulow from Nottinghamshire County Council. I work for Nottinghamshire County Council for the last 13 years and my last 6 years in several projects about digital connectivity. Started with Better Broadband for Nottinghamshire program, bringing ultra-fast broadband speeds, super-fast broadband speeds to all Nottinghamshire. And it's doing very well at the moment. 98% of Nottinghamshire is covered with super-fast speeds. And we are not stopping there. We are trying to reach out those 2% as well. Additional to my broadband project, obviously, the next step is mobile network, and I've been involved in this 5G trials and testbeds competition, and very, very pleased that I'm leading this beautiful project, which we will go through the details in a bit. So I want to start with Robonaut is one of the world's best loved folk heroes, and Nottinghamshire is proud to be the motherland of this spirited outlaw. United universal themes of adventure, altruism, and rebellion, his adventures have been retold down the generations, from medieval ballads to Hollywood blockbusters. However, unlike myths, legends don't have magic or monsters, because they are based on reality, and I believe in Robonaut. So, like Robin, who became a popular folk hero because of his generosity to the poor downtrodden peasants, 5G Connected Forest project will be a legendary tale of modern-day adventure. With our project, let me just on the slide, yeah. Yeah, so on 27th of August 2019, Department of Digital Culture, Media and Sport, DCMS, announced this competition, Rural Connected Communities. And as part of this government's testbeds and trials projects, they said this is a research project, experimental development. We are looking for partners who can apply for this funding as a consortium. A very important note here is it is not designed as a network rollout program. It's a series of trials and testbeds to de-risk and inform future network rollout programs. So we said these projects will trial the innovative use cases and technical solutions. Nottinghamshire County Council's project 5G Connected Forest being selected as a headline of the successful projects out of those 7, which you can see on the screen now. And we will be watching a quick video of the announcement DCMS done in March. But before then, I think the next slide is the consortium partners. Yeah.
Sorry.
No, that's okay. We will watch the video in a minute. As I mentioned, as a county, Nottinghamshire is one of the national leaders in the development and deployment of broadband technologies, with a proven track record of bringing together public, private, and community sectors. This strong focus on successful delivery and cross-sector collaboration is embedded in our approach to our rural connected community proposal and demonstrated by the breadth of our collaboration partners, as well as the level of existing support and commitment to the project, which I'm talking about our leaders buy-in as the local authority. So I am excited to introduce our project partners here on the list. From local SMEs like GUI and ISPB, Nick's Business, RSPB as a specialist wildlife and forest management partner. We have internationally recognized academic partners, Nottingham Trent University and Birmingham City University. And we have global technology partners, Netmore, to NCC as the county-wide local authority and the project lead. The consortium brings together a complete range of vertical and cross-industry sectors required to successfully deliver an integrated project supported by deep local knowledge. This is why I'm very proud to have local SMEs as well. And we have 3 very important, very large businesses in the county. We have Parkwood Outdoors, Parkwood Leisure, who is managing Rufford Abbey and Rufford Park. We have Harvard Group with a new housing estate just next to the Sherwood Forest. And we have Stagecoach, who are our use case partners for the autonomous vehicle use case. This consortium will deliver the first trial 5G network in a forest setting in the world. So we are going to make the invisible visible and bring the legend of Robonaut alive. Shall we watch the video now?
We are in the heart of Sherwood Forest in Nottinghamshire, home of Robin Hood and his band of merry men. We are really excited because the government have chosen Sherwood Forest for the first 5G forest in the country. We will have virtual reality of Robin Hood and his merry men through our wonderful magic headsets, things happening that they didn't expect to see here in this age. It's a really exciting story about our forest.
New generation, they learn our history and culture far more via gamification. Sherwood's one of the most important forests, and certainly most famous forests in the world. So our main role when considering a new approach and introducing more people into the forest is that it doesn't have a negative impact on the unique wildlife that lives here. And we're really confident that through the 5G Connected Forest project that we can avoid that and introduce even more people to nature at a time when nature needs the most help it's ever needed.
This is unique, and I do hope we can welcome you all here and give you a very, very special day out that you will never forget.
So thank you to our leader, County Council leader, Councillor Cutts, which we headlined the announcement for DCMS done this year in March. So, Sherwood Forest is one of the UK's most ancient and historic woodland. As such, it is rightly one of the most highly designated woodland spaces in the country. At its core, the project seeks to address the technical issues associated with deploying 5G across a forested and highly designated natural heritage site, whilst also developing a series of 5G use cases to encourage the adoption of 5G to support the rural visitor and heritage economy. We are not trying to implement something not possible. We are trying to find out what is doable with this new technology. The deployment of mobile connectivity in rural forested areas is inherently difficult, limiting the ability of residents and businesses in these areas to benefit from technologies more easily found in other areas. We of course face with some challenges we already identified, like deploying 5G across forested natural heritage sites, encouraging commercial deployment, rollout of 5G in a rural setting, which is not the first thing for mobile network operators to prefer to do or to deploy this infrastructure in the first place. They usually start from urban areas, and also encouraging users to take advantage of this technology as well. So we will try to show by using 5G technology, trialing on the massive machines like robots, which we will go through in a minute with AR/VR experiences, and some autonomous vehicles. We have identified some innovative use cases to support rural visitor economy and heritage economy by explicitly focusing on boosting how we can increase the local visitor economy by deploying AR/VR experiences. So the tourists or the visitors to Sherwood Forest Visitor Centre will be able to use some virtual reality, augmented reality applications to see the new forestry stories or play games. Inspired by the history of Robonaut to boost the area's tourism industry and building on the success of the, as I mentioned, Better Broadband for Nottinghamshire program, the project aims to accelerate the deployment of the benefits of 5G in one of the country's worst areas for social mobility. So we will be developing 2 different versions of autonomous vehicles or connected vehicles to support tourism and travel in the area. And also we will be developing 5G-based robotic forest management. Whichever part is available or possible to do, we will be doing, for example, with drones, robotic drones to do some tree inspections. If I shortly mention about what success looks like for us, the core focus of this project is to develop the visitor economy within the Sherwood Forest area through increased number of visitors and making them come back again. Subsequently, greater engagement from visitors with local businesses and development of new 5G-enabled visitor experiences. So our project aims to identify business models, which Nick will be mentioning shortly, and applications suitable for commercial development. The successful deployment of 5G across the 5G connected forest area will enable to accelerate the future deployment. This is one of our challenges, how we can bring that demand or direct the demand of the commercial deployment. We believe the unique characteristics of this project will attract interests from wider 5G trials and testbeds program from the phase 1 or from phase 2 of the previous winners, alongside and also UK 5G, and also alongside lessons learned from the unique topographical and sector-specific implementation challenges. We feel that this offer will better connect key leisure assets in and close to the Sherwood Forest to drive visitor numbers and reduce environmental effects such as emissions, and will bring this technology to a wider audience in order to gain the practical evidence needed to support its eventual rollout elsewhere. Next one, please. Nick, thank you. So in terms of the time frame, we're supposed to be starting on the 1st of January according to the initial advertisement. However, the announcement and everything with the pre-COVID issues that the DCMS was facing delayed the process a bit, and we have been given the go-ahead to start our project on the 1st of March. Even though we still work on the grant funding agreements and collaboration agreements with all the partners, for me they are just the paperwork. In the background, we already started doing remotely identifying specifications and writing the content and developing the trials, because our deadline is still not changing. Still March 2022 is our deadline to spend that government funding. So anything related to any milestones related to that funding needs to be finished by March 2022. Following that, hopefully next week onwards, we will be able to start doing some site surveys, because the site's now opening. Unfortunately, because of current COVID-19 issues, we had some partners furloughed or has limited employment in there, so in terms of the source to help us to do our site surveys or to travel from other countries to here as well. So hopefully everything will be going as planned. And the project plan, we will start doing some physical work September onwards, following the site surveys. Next, please, Nick. Thank you. So, the research area itself, we say connected forest, it is already a problem, sounds like a problem. When I first had the idea, following a discussion with our leader, whoever I go and have a chat with any kind of provider, I got kind of like a brick wall in front of me saying, no, that's a forest, you can't do that. There is no way you can put any kind of digital connectivity forest, because naturally it's not possible, naturally we can't dig anything. Yep, they are right. However, this is all about this project, how we can find out. So this is not to say the works could not happen, but they will need to be undertaken in a way that doesn't cause any damage and compromise qualifying features. So the stomping ground of Robonaut is 450-acre country park with 900 veteran oak trees, including our England's tree of the year 2014, the major oak tree. This test site, we are talking about this research area, it covers an area of 16.4 miles, and Sherwood Forest is one of the important landscape, and it is under protection, protected by European law, being designated site of special scientific interest. So whatever we want to do following the surveys, Netmore is managing. They need to go to Natural England, National Nature Reserve, Natural England, RSPB. They all need to go to the approval processes. So this is about trial project. We will put our requirement. For example, we are not even allowed to walk some of the areas of the forest because the ground is so close to the roots, and they're all veteran trees. We don't want to damage the nature. We want to achieve how we can bring that digital connectivity to support visitors to visit Sherwood Forest and Rufford Abbey. As such, a key element of the project will be to identify the barriers and limitations to deployment of both infrastructure and any research development for the project, and where practical, to design solutions which deliver the benefits of 5G whilst maintaining the integrity of the setting. We have already done considerable amount of planning and investigation work before our submission, including local site surveys, radio planning, technical studies, and operating as a private network. The project intends to validate 3 different contexts of infrastructure business models, and these are neutral host, localized roaming, and ecosystem enabler. We are proud to have Netmore on board as a network operator. Netmore is a Swedish network operator with extensive experience of providing local, private, and low-power mobile networks in forestry areas and testing new specialized mid-band 5G antenna for precisely just like our test site type of environment. This program will explore the technological requirements for a sustainable 5G ecosystem, and also build local skills and business sustainability in order to boost the 5G-enabled rural and visitor economies. In terms of technology, we will need minimum gigabit backhaul and ideally 10 gig of data capacity for out of area. We can use 10 gig aggregated across all sites, and we will have shared access spectrum for a brand new frequency 3.8, 4.2. Due to the long-term security tenure. this is where our problem will start, because at the moment there is no devices available for this kind of frequency, and our academic partners are prototyping first devices for this frequency, first time in UK, and we will see, actually in the world I can see, because there is not even anywhere else in the world at the moment. And then we will test local access processes, subleasing the MNO spectrum for the forest coverage. The core will be from affirmed networks and has very flexible software architecture and does everything we need. And most of the locations will use Nokia radios, but we want to test Open RAN into the innovation hub, which again Nick will be mentioning. And that's yours, Nick.
Okay, thanks. So the project is very heavily focused on trialing use cases. As Ceren said, partly around the visitor economy and also around environment protection. So as far as the visitor economy is concerned, we're looking at developing AR, VR, XR visitor experiences. And our fundamental question is, as Ceren has said, can 5G enabled experiences encourage visitors to stay longer and return to the north of Nottinghamshire? We're looking at indoor experiences as well as outdoor experiences. There is plenty of space around in the area that isn't in the restricted, highly designated areas of the forest. So again, there's plenty of options to look at how we might trial this and see what value 5G visitor experiences bring to the area. We're looking at connecting a local bus route, which would enable visitors to start their journey to the forest area and be entertained and educated on the bus going there, which we're hoping will encourage more people to use public transport rather than everybody driving there. There's the potential to use semi-autonomous visitor vehicles, particularly to ferry people with mobility issues, either from the car park to the visitor centre or potentially elsewhere in the area. And similarly, we have a question, which is, what might 5G do for visitor accommodation? I beg your pardon. That area of the north of Nottinghamshire is not desperately well served with visitor accommodation, and can Internet of Things devices improve both the efficiency of running a hotel or a guest house or a venue in that area, and/or can it enhance the visitor guest experience? I was having a conversation today with a group of students at NTU, and they were saying, well, what if you use 5G internally to create a virtual reality visitor experience within a hotel? The other sector that we're focusing on is the environment protection sector. There's 13% of the UK is woodland. So there's a lot of need to manage our woodland areas across the country as well as we possibly can, and to maintain the health of those woodlands as well as we can. So again, we've got 3 ideas that we're going to look at. The first one is a robotic forest manager, where we would have presumably a drone of some type, which we can then float over the woodland, scanning it, taking measurements, taking visual images, firing that information back to a central person observing it, exploring the potential for AI and what that might mean with these massive amounts of data that we get. The other robotic area that we're looking at is some kind of visitor incident robot, again probably drone, so that if a visitor has a fall, let us say, we can quickly get a device over to them that would have the ability to transmit voice, probably visual feeds, so you could see the person, and then identify precisely where they were, so that help can be dispatched more quickly. And the other piece where this fits together is the scope for passive sensors in woodland areas. Again, there are a lot of issues, but that's kind of why we're doing the project. Traditionally, sensors in woodland areas have been used for forestry farming, whereas what we're saying is, how might we use some of that technology monitoring the environment, monitoring the temperature, the humidity, issues like that, checking for smoke obviously would be another potential thing. How can we use those facilities to help manage the health of the forest more efficiently and more effectively? And again, that's potentially bringing in multiple sources of data, information from the passive sensors combined with survey information from the robotic forest manager. How might that be pulled together? And then there's the whole thing that's actually not about the technology. Ceren touched on it earlier. The north of Nottinghamshire is the second most deprived area in the United Kingdom for social mobility. I was born in Nottinghamshire. I live in Nottinghamshire. This is my county. I'm quite horrified by that information, to be honest. So what we're looking at doing is a skills and education process, probably not quite the right word, program of activities that we can help schools and colleges, higher education providers, skills and training providers themselves, the existing workforce. How can we support them to find out what 5G is, what it might do, how it might be used in their organizations, and to take 5G out of the technocrat box and to put it into the application side of things. So obviously everybody, almost everybody on that list has been locked down since we tried to kick the project off. So difficult to say, to give you precise examples now of what we're doing, but one of the schools and sixth form colleges in the area is, even though they've been dealing with major crisis, has also given some time to thinking about what this will be. And we will be working with them to support them in creating new learning materials, looking at how we can engage students in thinking about what 5G could mean for them and the related technologies that it enables. So the AR, VR, XR thing has existed for a while, but when you merge it with 5G, all of a sudden it becomes massively usable. In the higher education area, we'll be using Birmingham City and Nottingham Trent researchers. We'll be potentially looking at whether they, as universities, or indeed other universities in the area, might build 5G specific qualifications, but also looking at how you might embed 5G related things into non-technical programs. There's a massive potential for 5G to change the face of architecture. There's a massive potential for 5G to change the face of fashion and design. These areas also need at least an understanding of the capability so that they can then be the customers of 5G providers in the future. We're hoping to find local skills and training providers who will create local content, potentially local courses, which they can then sell and commercialize themselves. And for the existing workforces, this is about enabling them to be the users, to specify the systems that their organizations will to be the project managers for an implementation, for understanding the issues that are related and how to deal with the suppliers implementing these things. And finally, just to touch on the UK 5G group. This is a national group run by, well, it's an independent group run by the Knowledge Transfer Network and a couple of other private groups, and funded by DCMS. And through the contacts of existing projects, future projects, and indeed the RCC projects that you saw earlier, we've already started working with other areas to look at how we can learn from them. So Heart of Worcestershire College have done some great work already creating 5G training content, course materials for some of their courses. And we'll be looking, well, we've already started working with them on how we might use those in our county as well. And similarly, we're hoping to create within the UK 5G network a skills working group. So again, we can learn from what's going on elsewhere, but from my point of view, we can make sure that people in Nottinghamshire are at the front of this rather than the back end of it. And the final piece in this jigsaw is inspiring local businesses to get engaged and to explore the potential of 5G and the technologies that it enables. So we're envisaging people going through a process that basically goes, I don't know what it is, I want to understand it, why is it relevant to me? Through to then going, what can it do for me and how do I integrate it and build it into my strategies and my business plans? And then I have this idea, how can I test it out? And we will be looking to provide a form of guidance and mentorship and support that underpins that process for organizations. We will be creating a 5G innovation center, which will have an internal 5G network in it, which people will be able to come and trial ideas in that test setting. We'll also be running some accelerator programs in those settings where local businesses will be able to apply for a project that they would like to trial for themselves. And there'll be access to the facilities, there'll be access to the researchers, and then should be some limited access to cash to support it as well. So these are the pieces that wrap around the use cases and that wrap around the technology. And that's the end of our formal part of the presentation. Again, a reminder that the next event for BCS Nottingham and Derby is the 20th of July, not the 20th of June. And you've seen those details already. That ends the formal presentation. Are there any questions?
Hello, Nick and Paul here. I've just checked if there's any questions in the chat. Can't see any. Oh, yes, there is a question. And would you like to read it out, Nick?
I can't see it.
Or can you see it?
I can't see the question in the. Let me see the question.
Sorry, on my screen, I'm afraid I don't see
Okay,
any.
I'll read it out to you. It says,
Please.
has integrating the connectivity via Li-Fi been researched / considered for this network implementation project? And there's a URL also in the question. It's from Simon Bradshaw.
I'm sorry, the line broke and I missed the first part of the question. Has what been?
I don't understand the question.
It says, has integrating the connectivity via Li-Fi been researched or considered for this network implementation project?
Ours isn't addressing that particularly. Again, there's a limit to what you can trial in any one go. As Ceren was saying, the areas that we are looking at on the to trial on the connectivity side of things, but Li-Fi hasn't come into our scope.
I can see the questions now, I think. Yeah, I can see the URL. I will have a look at this one. Seen a lot of bad impacts of 5G. Yes, there is a conspiracy theories going around, which government also did an announcement to say there is not an evidence for any impacts of health or environment of 5G. What we do, we are sharing the Public England report, Public Health England's report, providing all the research being done for 5G, 4G, 3G, as well as not only for 5G, but we are all the mobile networks. Unfortunately, these bad news being spreading a lot, but there is definitely not a relation with COVID-19 and with 5G or any other health impact of these antennas or the signals. If interested, we are happy to share the link for the Public Health England's report as well to give all the details about the research is done already.
There's one other question in there, Ceren.
Is that the
What does 98% apply to?
It says, thanks for the talk. How's the robotic platform linked with 5G connectivity?
So, sorry, Paul, there was a question before that says 98% of Nottinghamshire is
Yes, this
by 5G. Is it
Okay.
by area or by population headcount?
Sorry, if 98% of Nottinghamshire is not 5G, 98% of Nottinghamshire has super fast broadband access. So has the fiber, either fiber cabinets, FTTC, or fiber to the premise structures delivered already. In our web page, Nottinghamshire County Council's Better Broadband for Nottingham web page, you should be able to find the map and the coverage details. If you search by your postcode or your address details, you can see the available speeds. That is not only for Better Broadband for Nottinghamshire, that is covering all commercial programs as well, like Virgin Media, OpenReach, and any other service providers as well. Remaining 2%, we are still using additional funding available throughout any organizations trying to give us any money. We are investing into the project to be the first 100% super fast covered count. And also our fiber coverage is 12%. Again, one of the highest for fiber covered counties in UK.
So then there's another question is, how is the robotic platform linked with the 5G connectivity? By 5G. I'm not quite sure how else you would answer that. Have you got anything, Sherwood?
So the device, yeah. So the device will be so how it links. So there will be a device under the drone. That device that we are talking about, our academic partners are prototyping. That is a 5G transmitter device, as big as maybe something like that, under the drone. And then we will have kind of like hands, and that will be a drone robot. And then that will be in two ways. It will be used two ways, by using this 5G network within the trees, as much as we are allowed to go, as deep as we can allow to go in the forest. One of them is forest ranger, so we will have all the tree inspections and doing all the checks of the tree health. Those hands will be able to pick up these tree leaves. We will see if they can pick up the leaves to make any inspections from the trees, because they are veteran trees. And the other one is forest manager. It's all about the health and safety part of it, to do a robotic first aider until a human arrives to, if there's an accident in the forest, if someone fallen over, someone from the center will be able to control the drone to arrive where the accident happened. We won't be able to do these things without any connectivity, and the drone needs to, the prototype drone, we need to become kind of a robot to handle all those motions.
Okay.
So
Right.
there's, sorry, Paul, the next one that I can see is it too early to share any successes at this point, given the COVID situation? As far as our project is concerned, yes, because as we saw on the timescale, frankly, we are just getting things going. We're just doing some of the getting access to do some of the exploring the infrastructure plans. In terms of other projects that were funded by DCMS earlier than ours, there's a good example in Worcestershire where they've been looking at the industrial applications of 5G and a 5G factory, and they identified two things. The first one is through Internet of Things type technology, they've been able to monitor the efficiency of big engineering machines and to pinpoint the point at which they're in danger of needing maintenance. And that's meant that they've been able to change from maintaining the device, the machinery, every week or every month or whatever the program was. They can now maintain it before it is damaged. They've therefore been able to reduce their maintenance costs. But specifically to do with the COVID situation, what they've also been trialing and have just started being able to do in a very limited way is using augmented reality glasses. They've been able to, for an engineer to look at a machine and to be talked through it by somebody remotely, and the augmented reality glasses analyzing the machine in a live mode there and then. And that they originally thought of that as being a way of being able to spread their engineers out more widely and maybe have a dedicated expert sitting in the center. What they've actually done with a couple of customers apparently is they've sent those glasses to the customer, and the customer has worn them, and the engineer has helped the customer self-analyze the problem and potentially, depending obviously what the problem was, to correct the problem there and then. That way, no journey, no social distancing, no people moving between bubbles, none of that. So although that's not ours, in fairness, that is one of the early successes that has come out of one of the other projects.
There is, I will read Phil Prudhom's question. Thank you for an interesting presentation. Public sector projects are notoriously difficult. Yes, definitely. What has been the biggest challenge? Right, the biggest challenge for a local authority is bringing the consortium together, because it is not only asking like, yeah, we have a funding, how we will spend. This RCT project was all about consortium and private businesses, private sector businesses to invest money. Like SMEs, like Nick's business, large businesses, because of the state aid rules, large businesses required to invest 60% of the overall cost for their part of the use case, and small organizations needed to invest 40% of the project cost as well for their use case. And in this condition, asking for private businesses to invest money and local authorities saying that, oh yeah, we have a project, I want to lead it, but can you please put some money in? That was difficult. So that was my biggest challenge. I'm so proud when you look at all those 7 projects being awarded. Ours is the biggest consortium. I don't know if it's good or not, but it's the biggest consortium. It is the most variety as well. 2 academic partners, 1 international network operator, 4 large businesses, 2 local SMEs, and local authority is the lead. So I am proud of being this kind of big consortium.
I think the other thing I would say, as a 30-year public sector project manager in IT, one of the big differences in this is that, as we keep saying, this is about trialing a collection of individual use cases. So we will be testing what is achievable. And I guess, if I'm honest, that's a slightly different motivation to implementing a new CRM system or self-assessment tax systems or whatever. So our project in that sense is slightly different to your normal public sector IT project.
Yeah.
I think that's the last question I can see, Nick and Ceren. I'd just like to raise a couple of polls to the audience for people to ask. It's some simple questions that you should be able to interactive. And first one, if you can select which is applicable, please. And I think that's just about it. Thank you. And the second poll.
I think there are some people not able to select.
No, I think it depends on the browser, but we are getting some responses.
Ah, okay.
Thank you. So I can see no more questions in the chat. So thank you, Nick. Thank you, Ceren. Very interesting talk.
Thank you so much for BCS for having us tonight. This is, we can say, it's the first one of those events that we will be taking for the next 18 months. Yeah, thank you for having us.
And if you've got any comments afterwards, do feed them back to Paul, because as Ceren says, this is actually our first trial demonstration of doing a presentation like this about the 5G connected forest. Thank you.
I just noticed that we didn't share any contact details yet, so I'm happy to share it. If you contact us, I'm happy to provide that. Yeah, definitely. So please get in touch.
Thank you very much. So I'll now close the webinar and have a good evening, everyone.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.